The following episode contains discussions of depression and suicide. Listen at your own discretion. It is Sunday, the 21st of July, 2024. My name is Pigeon Rose, and this is my song of the day. Remember yesterday when I said that today's episode was not going to be a happy one either? Well, that's because today we're talking about The Little Things Give You Away by Linkin Park. When I decided that I was going to do a Soundgarden song, I was like, oh, I should do it on the anniversary of Chris Cornell's death as a tribute. But then I looked it up and I was like, well, that's already past this year and I won't be getting around to doing it next year, so I can't do that. I'll just do his birthday instead. And then I realized that his birthday was only like a week away, July 20th. So I was like, oh, great, I'll do it then. That works out perfectly. And it would have been his 60th birthday, which I mentioned in yesterday's episode. When I think of Chris Cornell's death, I always think of Chester Bennington's death from Linkin Park. And so I thought, well, I'll do the same with him. So I looked it up. And then I remembered that Chester Bennington took his own life on Chris Cornell's birthday, the same year that Chris Cornell died. And it just... it hit me again, you know. It was like 3 months later, I think. Less even. It's just so... They were close, you know. And Chester has obviously struggled with depression all his life. I mean, listen to any Linkin Park album, you hear so much of Chester's struggles in the lyrics, you know. They're famous for it, in fact. And it really feels like Chris's death was kind of the thing that tipped him over the edge in the end, which is unfortunate. Now, again, I'm not talking about a song that's about that, but it's again gonna inform the way I talk about it, you know, because it happened and it makes me sad. I mentioned that Chris would have been 60. Chester was only 41 when he died, which means this year he would have been 48. Woof. Anyway, not that the song is happy, mind you. The song is, just because it's not about Chester's depression does not mean that it's a happy song. But we're gonna listen to it now, and then we'll come back in a few minutes and talk about it. Oh, man. It's funny how, like, I was really into Linkin Park as a kid, but specifically I only really listened to Hybrid Theory and Meteora, their first two albums. Mostly Hybrid Theory, really. I had it on CD, I listened to it on my Discman a lot, and also on my stereo when I was getting ready for school. I have a very specific memory of listening to it on the Discman in the back of our Ford Galaxy back in the day. It's just something that was always a part of me. That's a funnier memory. I used to nick my dad's digital camera when he got one and make little like videos with it, and I very distinctly remember recording myself singing Breaking the Habit from various angles with no shirt on and like really changing my voice around. Like I still remember, because the second verse starts with clutching my cure, but I don't know if I was like making fun of Chester's accent or what it was, but I remember going clutching my cure. Anyway, so yeah, like I said, I was a big fan of Linkin Park when I was a kid, but I didn't really listen past their first two albums. And I would occasionally hear songs from their later albums and be like, oh, it's not as much my thing, because they kind of became less heavy and more kind of poppy as they went on. I remember hearing Bleed It Out and kind of liking it, but eh. And then I remember hearing What I've Done and being like, ugh, no, that's too poppy, because, you know, I hadn't learned to love myself yet. But a few years ago, I had really, you know, lockdown was happening. I had gotten into like listening to artists' discographies all the way through again. And I decided to finally just listen to all of Linkin Park's albums in order. And man, they're all good for different reasons. I think the most recent album, the last one before Chester died, is probably their weakest, but it's still a lot of fun. People hated it because it's just a pop album, but like, it's a good pop album, you know? But anyway, so this song, The Little Things Give You Away, is from Minutes to Midnight, which is their third album. It's the same one with What I've Done on it. And it's kind of atypical of their oeuvre, because they were known early on for their nu metal, you know, rap, hip-hop, rock sound. And then you get this song, which is like, it's like a prog song. It's long, it's got muted guitar, it's got complicated drumming, it's got layered vocals. It's really interesting. And it really blew me away when I was listening through, because I knew the first two albums well, and I knew a few, you know, I knew Bleed It Out, I knew What I've Done from this album. And then this song comes last, because of course this is the last song on the album, it has to be, it couldn't be anywhere else. And it blew me away. I was just immediately captivated by it. It's so specifically my shit, and I loved it. Now, unlike Black Hole Sun yesterday, the lyrics of this song are very deliberate and mean a great deal, because this song is about Hurricane Katrina and how America, specifically the Bush administration, didn't really do anything to help, famously. I mean, when I think about Hurricane Katrina, I think of the like celebrity charity appeal thing where they're all like dryly looking into the camera and reading a teleprompter, and it's Mike Myers and Kanye West, and Mike Myers says something, Kanye's clearly supposed to say something, and he just says, George Bush doesn't care about black people. It's, oh God. I mean, he's right. The rarest Kanye W. But always what it makes me think of about how criticized the Bush administration was for not dealing with Hurricane Katrina. And as time goes on, I've only learned more and more how true that was. Especially, I watched Treme last year, and it's a whole heaping mess. And especially as an outside observer, it's so hard to wrap your head around sometimes when you read about something happening like this far away. It's hard to believe, you know. So, the lyrics. Water gray through the windows, up the stairs, chilling rain like an ocean everywhere. You know, very just simple description of water bursting through the windows, filling up a house. Don't want to reach for me, do you? I mean nothing to you. The little things give you away, and now there will be no mistaken. The levees are breaking. I was thinking that this might be why I thought the When the Levee Breaks cover was about Katrina. Anyway, all you've ever wanted was someone to truly look up to you, and 6 feet underwater, I do. Oh, that chorus gives me fucking chills. So, like, you know, the don't want to reach for me, do you? I mean nothing to you. Like, it's the person drowning, reaching for Bush. But no, I mean nothing to you. You don't want to help me. And yeah, the whole thing about levees are breaking is probably a reference to When the Levee Breaks. And then, yeah, that chorus, all you ever wanted was someone to truly look up to you, and 6 feet underwater, I do. Oh, fucking harrowing stuff. Speaking to the kind of narcissism of world leaders and how they don't care about the little people. They just care about being beloved or feared or whatever. And whether that means that they'll die, it doesn't really matter. Hope decays, generations disappear, washed away as a nation simply stares. And then the pre-chorus and chorus the same again. Oh, generations disappear. 2 words that just hurt. And then, yeah, washed away as a nation simply stares. I mean, it makes me think of the whole thing about Vietnam being the television war. People seeing it on TV. Like people seeing Hurricane Katrina on TV and not knowing what, if anything, they can do to help. And then, yeah, the chorus repeats, but it changes. So the first time it's 6 feet underwater, and then it's 6 feet underground. You know, that's just driving it home because, of course, there's the phrase 6 feet under to refer to someone being buried in a coffin. And then you get the guitar solo, which is great. And then the layering vocals. You get Chester doing the and you've got Mike Shinoda, who's the other main vocalist of the band, coming in with just singing the little things give you away over and over again, while Chester sings all you've ever wanted, that part. And they come together, they're singing over top of each other, back and forth, and then the music all drops out and it's just them singing. Oh, I love it so much. And I mean just musically, like, I love how this sounds, but also in terms of, like, the music reflecting the lyrics and the message. The guitar solo feels like waves. It feels like that's when the levees break, that's when the windows burst, and all of this is just the water washing in, and the music dies away as the people die away. I mean, it really ties in really well with the message of the song. Something interesting about this as well, I've talked about associations people make with media. When I was listening to this discography, I was watching the TV show Justified for the first time. And so I very distinctly remember watching a bit in Justified and then going for my walk and listening to this song and like formulating an idea for a novel, as I do, inspired by both Justified and the vibe of this song, which is interesting. And I can't disassociate it from that now. It's just always associated with Justified, even though it has nothing to do with Justified. But, you know, yeah, no, I love this song. I love the message it has to convey. I mean, it's the same as the Chris Cornell episode yesterday, but I mean, Chester Bennington was just such an interesting musician and voice and talented singer. I mean, I mentioned in the Black Hole Sun episode that there's a really long scream at the end of Cochise, but fucking Given Up by Linkin Park has, I think it's a 17-second scream. It's wild. It's crazy. Chester was a mad skilled vocalist, just so good at screams, but also his soft vocals, as you can hear in this song, are beautiful, are lovely. And it's such a shame to lose him, especially so young, so much younger than Chris. I would have loved to hear more Linkin Park albums, especially with like their last album was really poppy and really different from their other stuff. And it would have been really interesting to see if they leaned more into that sound, if they went back to their older sounds, if they mixed the two somehow. It's just so much potential there that's gone now. I mean, the rest of the band hasn't officially split up, but they've never released new music or gone on tour since Chester's death. They've just been releasing like B-sides, rarities, remastered stuff, anniversary stuff. This year they released a greatest hits album, which has a few songs that were, I think, not released as singles, or they're like hidden B-sides somewhere, you know. So it seems to be mostly Mike Shinoda just kind of like making sure that all the stuff is out there to listen to, and there's all these different editions. But I don't think Linkin Park are going to continue without Chester. I don't think you can really, you know. And yeah, I miss his presence. I mean, Chris Cornell dying hit me hard. Chester dying hit me harder because I was more of a Linkin Park fan at the time than Soundgarden, and have been for all my life. So it hit me like a brick. Okay, well, I think I'll stop talking about that now, so this episode doesn't go on forever and I don't start crying. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for coming to the end of another week. Oh, I have to talk about next week. So I wasn't sure what to do as a theme for next week, and then I realized that I still hadn't talked about any songs by the Magnetic Fields. There have been a few previous weeks where I had considered them, but ultimately decided not to. So next week, just going to be songs by the Magnetic Fields, specifically from their album 69 Love Songs, because it's a great album and there's 69 songs on it, so there's plenty to choose from. I'm just going to talk about 7 songs on that album that I love a lot and I want to talk about. I hope you like them, because you're stuck with them for a week, I guess. So that'll be interesting to do. Thank you so much for listening. Please give me a like, hit subscribe, leave a comment, give me that good engagement, share me around, show other people this episode, and tell people about it. Thank you so much for listening, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
Break it down.
They got everything for young men to enjoy. You can hang out with all the boys.